All right, welcome to Mark Hummel's Harmonica Party, and I'm sitting here with my buddy RJ Mischo.
Amen.
We've known each other many, many years, going way back to when RJ was just a youngster, and I was a couple of years older.
Now we're both old men.
And now we're both old bald guys, yes. I just prefer to wear a hat.
I'm gonna go get one.
Okay.
I can put my hood up.
Well, you can put your hoodie up, yeah, that'll work too. Hey, that's an Usher kind of look right there. Yeah. So anyway, RJ Mischo hails from Minneapolis, Minnesota, correct?
Yeah, I grew up in Minneapolis, originally from eastern Wisconsin, but the Twin Cities is where my musical formative years, sure.
And I guess the first thing I would just want to ask you is how you got into blues, how you got into harmonica. Now you play the guitar as well as the harmonica, which I don't know if you're pretty stoked with the way you do it.
Playing guitar would be the term.
Well, you accompany yourself on
it a little bit. Where did I start?
Yeah.
Fascination with the instrument first. An older brother. I am the youngest of four boys. An older brother had some harmonicas laying around, maybe around 9, 10 years of age.
Wow, okay.
And started messing around with kind of literally sneaking, playing his harmonicas when he would be out of the house.
Did he find out about it?
No, he never did, because he wasn't messing with them. I remember they were just like there.
Okay.
Of course, older brothers, you certainly didn't want to
piss them off.
Yeah, it was something I never let them know. So I'm thinking one of them was like one of those Lancer harmonicas.
Right.
And one of them I think might have been a Marine band or an old standby. But started messing with those, and then found blues music and associated the two later on junior high.
Junior high, yeah. Okay. So you were playing at how old? Like, did you say 12?
12, and I mean, I was playing. I mean, wow. I was really into it, but didn't really have a direction. So I was really playing a lot. I was fascinated with the instrument. Right. There was a music store downtown. I grew up in, this is grade school, 6th grade. I grew up in River Falls, Wisconsin, which is a small college town near to Hudson, where you're going to be coming up. And there was the cool music store downtown, right on the main street, and had the harmonica rotisserie.
Oh yeah.
And I remember really being
rotisserie. I like that.
Yeah, fascinated kind of.
Well, it's cooking the harps.
Yeah, with the size, I think, as a young guy, the size and the just kind of the novelty of the instrument more than actually what.
Right, the fact you could just carry it around in your pocket.
Just kind of the whole, the varieties of them, and then maybe like there was some subconscious things saying, "Oh, that must be easy."
Yeah, boy, did it fool you, didn't it? So did you have any instruction, or did you just kind of pick it up from listening to records, or both? How did that work?
Well, instruction in the way of just hanging out with some people and maybe just trying to get a question answered every now and again. But I never sat down at any kind of a formal.
Right. Nobody actually sat down and showed you this is how you bend notes.
Actually, more like that sucks. Try something else. Kind of, Hey, what you're doing there? That stinks. Don't do that.
I don't know that would kind of be back in those days. For me, it was kind of like there were really not many people that were willing to kind of show you stuff.
Right. It was more secretive.
Yeah, it was a lot more secretive back then. And I mean, I was lucky because I had two people in particular that helped me in high school, and so I was fortunate about that. But I mean, did you have Tony Glover's book and all that? Did you kind of start with that? Or
no,
really?
I mean, I wasn't even really familiar with a lot of the like instructional and all that until I was pretty well into it. Playing along with records. I remember playing along with records and just having like one harp and not even realizing that stuff was in different keys.
Same here.
And all that, and I couldn't even hear it.
Right.
I was just like, I sound great, and I was just like blowing all my everything. And
kind of like some of our audience members at times.
And And yeah, and then that, but instruction, basically, like once I was into it, there was a couple of guys in the neighborhood, I remember hearing this guy, Brian Carley. I went to school with his younger sister. And I remember when I first moved, walking around the neighborhood and actually hearing someone play proper bent tones and everything, and it had really caught my ear, and it was in my neighborhood in the suburb of New Brighton. And then I found out who it was later. So there was a small group of guys that were kind of into playing harmonica, and we were talking about it amongst each other.
Right.
I'm talking
kind of comparing notes and stuff. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but nobody had really instruction. But I do remember, just not that much in harmonic instruction.
Yeah. So who on record kind of got your attention and made you want to pursue blues harmonica?
Well, the first records I was listening to that had harmonica was probably like the Climax Blues Band.
Right, that sounds like me. Yeah.
No offense. Or whatever. But I just kind of graduated on to guys that were harmonica players. Who would have been like the first guys? I was pretty lucky to be turned on to like the Little Walters and all the stuff through the Muddy Waters recordings once that Hard Again came out. So I would have been 17, I guess, when that record came out. And then I started feeling like I was educating myself much more on really the right road.
Right.
But up to that, just different harmonica that I'd hear, but I wouldn't know anything about the names or who was actually doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you were still in high school at that point? Yeah. Okay. And then, and so how did you kind of fall into the blues community in Minneapolis when you moved there?
Again, through just some buddies in school, just a small group of record collecting guys, art class routine where one guy brings a record to art class.
Really?
I don't know. We had an art teacher that would encourage us to bring albums. And I remember one of my dear friends, and I remember trading him. He had Hate to See You Go.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I had a Roy Buchanan record, and and I traded him. He wants to trade back now.
I hope he kept
it. To this day. And there was just a small group of people. But by the time a small group of kids in high school that were into it, a good friend of mine, Bob Peterson, was trying to learn how to play Johnny Winter. That's it. He turned me on to Johnny Winter, and through Johnny Winter was really the gateway. Johnny definitely was really a gateway.
So you're saying in terms of like Muddy, him recording with Muddy and
remember the
Big
record
Walter with
Walter on it, with Willie Dixon.
Willie Dixon, yeah, that was the first one I had too.
That record was one that really opened. That was where I started starting the investigation with Dixon and pinning the songs and all that.
Big Walter.
That was kind of it was so exciting. I remember how exciting that was. Finding
absolutely. Yeah.
Other guys, you heard of this? No, I haven't heard that.
So I remember the first guy I remember hearing you with was what was the guy's name, man?
Percy.
Percy, Percy Struthers.
So Percy would have been a big. Percy was singing. He was sitting on an amp, playing guitar at a music store in a northern Minneapolis suburb, and I came walking up to Percy and introduced myself, and he was sitting there playing a B.B. King song.
Right.
And I says, I had a band at that time.
How old were you at that point?
That would have been senior in high school.
Wow, okay.
It seems like before then, but I don't think so, honestly. But it definitely was not any later than the senior year in high school, because I and Kurt Dorn and a few guys had a band, and we called it the City Limits Blues Band. And when we started getting paid gigs that summer of graduation, and but I remember playing at big like keg parties with Percy singing for all these.
And Percy was from the South, is that right?
Percy's from Natchez, Mississippi.
Right.
And but to backtrack to where you said that stuff with Percy, he was singing in a Schmidt music. I introduced myself, told him that I and my high school buddies have a band, and we practice in the basement of, one of the guy's dad's, his parents' house. And of course, Percy was probably at that time only in his 30s or something.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So he came over, and it was
funny how old they all seemed back then.
And Percy was singing, and we were doing some club gigs and like high school kegger parties and stuff. It was pretty fun.
Yeah.
It was pretty phenomenal. Yeah.
And now who was the guitar player in your band back then?
Well,
later on you had Teddy, didn't you? Wasn't Teddy Morgan in your band?
But that's much later.
Oh, was it? Okay.
That's 5 years later. I must have been 20.
Yeah, you must have been 20 by then.
No. That Teddy was much later from me. I was already.
I thought for some
30
reason
by then, 29 or 30.
I had thought that Percy actually played in a band with the both of you, but maybe not.
Well, he did later.
Okay.
There was about a 10-year hiatus between projects with Percy.
Oh, interesting.
And then that was a project where we were, Kid was in Lamont Cranston. I had a band called Blues Deluxe in the Twin Cities. Right. And that guitar player is Dan Schwalbe. He's still a very good friend of mine and a great blues guitar player. All those guys are still active. But Kid and we figured that we needed a real singer.
Right.
And that's where we
Now, is that about the time I met you? Did I meet you about that time, or was it earlier?
That would have been about the time. I remember I met you you were playing at, was it still Archie's Bunker, or was it just called Bunker?
With Sue Foley?
You were with Sue Foley.
That was 1989.
And that would have been 1989, would have been when I first met you, and it would have been right around there. Yep, that the Kid and I.
Okay. I wasn't sure, but I remember the Percy Struther
had started
connection.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we didn't really do a lot of performance. We did that record, and we definitely did some like little Midwest tours and that kind of thing. But it wasn't everyone always had their own projects. That was a side band. That whole thing was kind of a side band.
Now, how about, was Mojo kind of in between that?
No, Mojo was when I was younger.
Oh, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
He was in between when you first met Percy.
Yeah, exactly.
You met Mojo Buford right after that. And for those of you that don't know, Mojo Buford was the one of the last harp players in Muddy Waters Band, and actually one of the very early ones too, because he followed, I think it was James Cotton in that band, or maybe he was even before James Cotton. I can't remember. He was kind of always the in-between guy.
He was in and out.
He was the in-between guy. Yeah.
He was
wasn't he Muddy Waters Jr.? Was he the one that called himself Muddy Waters Jr.?
I think he did spend some time as Muddy Waters Jr.
Yeah. But he was a great guy.
Mojo was a great guy, and in hindsight, boy, if you listen to him playing as an accompanist on that Muddy Waters stuff, it's brilliant.
Some of it's very cool.
It's brilliant, because he really is one of the greatest at the subtle art of like padding.
Right.
And really making that harmonica just being heard, but just so
very much
pleasantly out of the way.
Really good accompanying.
Really.
Yeah. One of my favorite albums that he did is the one, it's like a live radio thing with Louis Myers in Montreux, I think.
Okay.
With Muddy. And he backs up Muddy in Montreux.
I love that record.
He plays really good.
It's like off that Avalanche.
I don't remember what label it's on. It's
70s, right?
It's 70s,
yeah.
And it's them in Montreux on a radio show or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it might be Avalanche. I'm not sure.
Sure, with T-Bone and all those guys. It was a big package.
Right.
And the Aces are just
that's what I'm saying.
smoking on that.
The Aces are but this is acoustic. This is literally just Muddy, Lewis, and Mojo.
Oh, I gotta look that up.
Yeah,
right after
it's
this.
really a cool record. Yeah.
Very cool.
But anyway, yeah, I think you might have introduced me to Mojo the first time.
Okay.
I think you did in
I remember I horned in
Minneapolis.
on that harp show up there
Minneapolis.
when you had him on that.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
And I remember
appreciate
you were the
that.
guy that kind of connected me up
Okay.
with him, yeah.
Okay.
But did you work with some other cats like in Minneapolis at the time?
Well, Minneapolis had
It had a pretty good Chicago transplants.
You know, I did, and you know, fortunately, I was pretty busy. Really, I had, you know, I was working, playing gigs all the time in my early 20s. So a lot of guys I regret I didn't go out and see as much as I could have. But through Mojo, I mean, like JoJo Williams was there,
Right.
Who I never played with, but jammed with like at a party. Sonny Rogers.
Sonny Rogers.
There was a lot of Mississippi.
Now, is Sonny Rogers the one that played with Forest City Joe?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Who was a great guitar player.
Really a great guitar player, unbelievable singer.
Yeah.
Sonny Rogers. Did a lot of gigs with Sonny. As a matter of fact, the band with Mojo, it was always Mojo and Sonny
Right.
Rogers.
And they had some records together, as I recall. There's a record, I think, with Sonny Rogers. Yeah, the Summit record with Sonny Rogers and Mojo, and I think Sammy Lawhorn's on it too.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Did you know Sonny Rogers played harmonica?
It wouldn't surprise me.
And what he always carried around was he carried around a 270, a chromatic 270. The plunger was missing on it, and
That's kind of normal, yeah.
And he had a toy pistol plastic handle.
Oh, perfect.
Glued on it, and Sonny always carried a chromatic in his
back pocket,
in his belt loop.
Was it kind of like
with a pistol handle?
Oh, that's great. That was to scare people.
Well, it was his chromatic.
Yeah, and he'd pull it out and start playing it if they tried to threaten him.
And he could play really cool, subtle, that great 270, or that great, he'd play a 270, but, you know, really cool third position chromatic.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. To me, that Forest City Joe stuff with him and him playing guitar on it is just some of the, I mean, he was really young.
Oh, he's got to be like
18
19 years old.
And he plays just incredible guitar on it, and Forest City Joe's awesome on it.
Sonny was there in the Twin Cities. There was a lot of guys that came through because
Pat Hare lived there.
Well, Pat Hare was there, and I didn't know Pat Hare at the time. I remember Mojo talking about going to Stillwater Prison to visit Pat Hare and to do a gig, and Lazy Bill Lucas was there.
That's another guy,
And Percy introduced me to Lazy Bill.
Right.
I did a gig or two with Lazy Bill Lucas.
Yeah.
He had a radio show at KFAI Radio, where Harold Tremblay is now.
I didn't know that.
Lazy Bill was the original Lazy Bill Lucas show. That was, I think, had to be the original blues show at KFAI Radio.
That's awesome.
It was broadcast out of a church steeple. Doing something going on there. You know, the great jazz blues pianist Baby Ducaston was there.
Oh yeah,
So I
played
knew
with Dixon,
a little bit. And who else was there? You know, I would see Jack McDuff. He came. He played it. I played in the artist quarter. I remember Jack McDuff just coming in there, just sitting down at a piano.
Wow.
They had an auto-tune piano on the stage.
There was really a heavy scene in Minneapolis. For blues and jazz, it was really a good scene.
And for all music, and I didn't know, even all those alternative bands that were coming up, all the Soul Asylums and the Replacements, and all these bands. I mean, I didn't know anything about them, but I mean, they were just playing in clubs around the Twin Cities, and I didn't know that they were like. Internationally,
I remember when I first started playing in Minneapolis. The guy at Electric Fetus was a big fan of mine.
I used to work there,
and he used to. He sold so many records.
That's probably where I got the first album.
I'm sure it is, because that guy sold a ton of records for me out of that store. And I
Was it
remember
a Hagasag, last name of Hagasag?
No.
Or was it Bob that's still there? Okay.
it was I'd recognize his name if he came up with this.
Still one of the greatest record stores.
Yeah, great record store. And I remember when I signed with Tone Cold, they looked up how many sales I had. And Minneapolis was literally right on par with the Bay Area, which blew me away.
Yeah, Minneapolis is one of the highest demographics for blues music purchasing.
It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, you guys had a lot of clubs there, a lot of venues to play. And I mean, now it's tough. I mean, as it is everywhere,
Of course.
But at the time, I remember in the 80s, you guys really had 70s, 80s, you guys really had a good thing going there.
Well, and that blues saloon and different, being
Whiskey Junction,
relatively close to Chicago.
Right, exactly.
Pretty much every weekend, man, there was the Lefty Diz or Carrie Bell or somebody like this playing in the
Caboose.
Sure, the Caboose. Well, the Blues Saloon.
The Blues Saloon.
The Blues Saloon. Mm-hmm.
Right. So I mean, you guys really had a very strong scene going there. So I mean, I think here's the other thing: is guys like Linwood Slim that you were friends with, or Kim Wilson, Lamont Cranston, all these people that were working in the city off and on.
Yeah,
that were living there.
Well, Kim was before
you got on the scene
into it. Slim was very integral in my development, I guess.
Right.
And then Lamont Cranston, Pat Hayes. I mean, that was a very influential band for me too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think Bonnie Raitt did her first album outside of Minneapolis.
She would hang in. Her brother Steve, was a sound engineer,
and he was a harp player.
Oh, I didn't know that, but he would be Lamont Cranston's sound guy, I think, usually. There was
he was a harp
association or Waterhouse Record, Charlie, and a lot of those guys. There's kind of a family.
Yeah. So I mean, it was a very rich scene, and how many records did you do in Minneapolis?
I did. Under my own name, it would have been just really one under my own name, but I did some recordings with that Blues Deluxe band that I had, and the one with Percy, and then I appear on some. There was a record label there. Pat Dawson started a record label, and there was a studio. There was kind of like a chess record scene through a place called Blue Moon Studio and Blue Loon record label.
Blue Loon.
He had to change it because
there's
there's a previous record label established already, copyright.
And loons are very popular in Minnesota.
Well, it's the state bird. But
there you go.
And so there was a scene there with that record label and the studio.
So I remember when you moved out to California. What year was that you moved out? Was it the early 2000s?
97.
Wow. Okay. 1997. And what inspired you to come to California?
Well, I was, my wife got a job out here. She wasn't my wife at the time. It was my girlfriend came
Your
out
girlfriend,
here.
Heidi.
And then she called me after a while, and I called her, and we were, my wife, my girl, Heidi. Love. That's what brought me to California.
Your sweetheart.
Yeah.
All musicians need a sweetheart.
Yeah, man, of course.
So I mean, were you excited about coming out here? Because I'm sure you knew about the scene.
Kidding, man.
Yeah.
And we had discussed me. I was very busy. I had a good career going in the Twin Cities there, so I had to stop everything and start all over again. But no, I was very excited and it worked out very well because I was afraid of not being able to afford it, but it all worked out fine. So here I am.
So did Rusty Zinn
give
give you your first gig out here? Was that Rusty that kind of hooked you up?
Rusty Zinn, I think I talked my way out of that gig. I kept on by always being a self-critical after the gigs.
Ah.
I'm like, oh man, I could have played better.
No,
don't
you
do that.
Don't want to go.
Don't
there.
do that if you're a side guy. Don't always like be telling the boss that,
Right,
oh man, I could have played better. I'm sorry I hit all those bad notes because
they don't want to hear that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Rusty gave me the first gigs and it was great. Absolutely.
And so you met a lot of people, I would think, through Rusty and Randy.
Through Rusty,
and
and I knew of people and
Yeah.
a little bit of preceding
right.
acquaintances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've always had a good scene, I think, in Northern California, especially, and also in the South, Southern California
Sure.
as well.
Well, sure.
But there's always been a real boatload of good musicians.
Certainly for players.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Venues are the challenge.
Not as quite as many 4 o'clock in the morning venues, but
right.
but definitely the players are out here. There's a great deep pool of good players.
And so, were you touring prior? You were touring a little bit prior to that, as I recall. Like I want to say in the '80s, you were starting to tour the Midwest more, weren't you?
Just Midwest, yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to say I remember you playing at the Zoo Bar and places like that in the late '80s and early '90s. I thought.
Yeah, Nebraska. Sometimes we venture as far as Colorado or as far as south as Texas, but usually Minnesota, Iowa.
Yeah. So, what would you say? Was it when you came out here that you started to travel more nationally?
Well, yeah, because I had nothing established here really, so all my gigs were in the back.
Right, you had to basically go home to work.
So I was like, so I'd have to go back to the Midwest.
Right. Now, were you driving or flying, or how would you do that?
To get gigs. Well, at that time, I was still always taking a band with me. That was pretty much before I became the sheriff without a badge or whatever you
the white Lowell Folsom.
Yeah, just not having a band, But at that time I would always hire a band. So yeah, we would drive.
Yeah. PA Slim.
PA Slim, many different guys, Justin, the only last band that I would say that was a band was Justin on guitar, Jimmy on drums, and
Jimmy Molyneux,
and then it was a variety of bass players there. Well, Carino,
Mark Carino, right?
And that was actually the kind of a unit for probably the longest that I had in California of the same lineup.
Was that 2 or 3 years longer?
Something like that.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. I mean, as you know, from doing the road, it's hard to keep a unit together. Year after year after year on the road is a very difficult thing to achieve.
I don't know how you do it. You got to hire all front guys that have all booked gigs before. So
you have to get a bunch of
going through.
You have to hire a bunch of ex-band leaders that are tired of doing it.
but your problem is you've always been stuck with the best guys in the business that have never had to make a booking call in their lives. They're just great side guys that just, oh sure, I'll do it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
How much? Okay.
No, yeah, it's a grind. Both me and you and a lot of our contemporaries. Guys like Gary Primich, I remember, who was the late Gary Primich, who was a great guy, and we were always commiserating. Kind of like me and you commiserate, sometimes.
You got a lot more miles on that thing than I can imagine.
It's a constant grind. Now, so basically at some point you kind of went, well, I'm just going to start kind of getting guys according to where I'm going. And what inspired that? Was that kind of out of necessity, or how would you put that?
It was out of necessity, and now in hindsight, I guess it would have been in Europe. It would have been because I was touring bands in Europe. American bands, making my bands to Europe.
Right.
And then there was an opportunity to do some shows with the Blues Shacks.
Right.
And so I went over and did some shows with those guys, and that worked out real well by just, being a side guy, front guy, really kind of.
And were you able to make more money doing it like that?
Well, I can't remember. Of course, it was because of financial reasons, but I don't know if I was making more money or if it was just the expense of not having to bring a whole band. I can't,
Right.
I'm never making real the kind of money where I have to even.
Well,
where
I mean, my opinion.
It's nickels and dimes one way or the other.
My opinion with blues is that blues has never been a moneymaker, and I think most people kind of concur on that.
Well, yeah, that's for sure.
It's a hard road in terms of that, and at the same time, we kind of get hooked on it.
Well, you get hooked on it, and
comes down to
if you're a person that can live with a small amount of things and comfortably with you can it's all the drive. It has a lot to do with the drive, but
when you say drive, you mean like ambition?
Yeah, and staying on course,
right,
like you said. But back to the band thing, so it would have been by playing in Europe without having the ability financially to bring an American band with me, so that started to happen.
Right.
And then I started meeting because I played a lot in Europe, and then meeting other guys that had bands, and then basically getting invited. Well, you've been doing quite a bit of this now.
Yeah, I've done a lot of it too.
Last 20 years, the time flies.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So and it's worked out real well for me. And I at this point I actually almost just prefer working in this situation.
Well, it's a relief of responsibility.
It's a big relief of responsibility. It musically, it's very hard work musically, because to be able to create something out of almost with no rehearsal,
thin air kind of.
Thin air, but it changes all the time, and it really helps. It's really helped me be able to apply and be able to really work with the strong point. I've learned always go to the strong point of the guys I'm playing with.
Right.
Don't try to make them do something that obviously is not their thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great viewpoint.
And it took a long time to do that.
Yeah.
It took a long time to realize.
I've been through some hard things with that one.
Well, I mean, because you have to start adjusting then and doing something that you really don't want to do, but you have.
You know that the sum is going to be better than the individual parts.
Yeah, and then it's good for you, because then you'll start doing things to entertain yourself, even though you might be doing something that you're just doing to just get over, basically.
Right.
Just to get the job done, get paid.
Well, you've really turned it into a pretty cool thing. I mean, you've really taken the kind of blues, the sort of blues attitude that a lot of the old cats would take, where they would just they would sort of have a self-contained thing that they did.
What you got to do is just watch Sonny Boy on YouTube.
Yeah,
and you can do it too.
That's the thing. I mean, all those guys. I mean, if you really listen to what a lot of those guys that were doing when they were traveling to Europe, is they would work with, like you say, Sonny Boy working with the Yardbirds, or Muddy working with Cyril Davis, or I mean, guys like that. I mean, Alexis Corner. I mean, they were just kind of doing whatever they had to do to bring the whole thing together.
Well, and I think at that point with those guys, it's basically those artists were fans of theirs.
They were.
Sure, that were bringing them over. Will you play with our band?
Yeah.
So it was a learning experience for everybody, actually.
Right. Yeah, and in a way, I mean, those guys kind of spawned the whole British blues, thing that happened.
Sure,
it was thanks to the old guys coming over and kind of schooling them. So in a sense, you're kind of doing that.
I don't think it has the same effect as probably seeing Peg Leg Sam.
Well, no, but I'm just saying nonetheless, I mean, in a way, it's like, there's a thing about the American artists. We're the homegrown, even though we might not be, African Americans from the South, we're still American, and we've been exposed to a lot of the older guys and worked with the older guys, and by doing that, there is a carryover to that.
I believe
in terms of
I believe so. Yeah.
Working with the European guys, especially if they're younger guys, it's kind of like that's the only exposure they might get for a long time.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I certainly hope so. I mean, it's both you and I couldn't speak on behalf of both of us. We certainly got into this because we just loved the music.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That was 100%. It was just fell in love with the music.
Yeah.
And then we started learning about the character of it.
Right.
The characters involved, the people involved, the way it works socially and all that. But the first thing was just
being in awe.
I have to get next to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what's interesting is I'm starting to hear more and more when you really trace like musicians and going back quite a ways, that emphasis on just the music before anything else is such an important factor. In in other words, nowadays we live in this celebrity culture where fame has almost outstripped what you actually do. Fame can end up being this thing where you go from, you start as a musician, but you end up being a movie star.
Yeah.
Which is probably, could be your goal all along. Never know,
Yeah.
But with us, we don't have to worry about that.
Don't have to. Well, I mean, it's great to have. I mean, it certainly is nice to have a passion.
Of course.
This. I mean, and that with the whole blues thing, like I know I'm speaking, on behalf of both of us. It was really the music. I mean, I was first fascinated with the instrument before I did really find the connection with blues harmonica. It was the instrument first, but once I got, and then I spent many years as just, being harmonica obsessed.
Right.
But then the transformation is turned into musically obsessed. And and this style of music, so it's not all about the instrument at all. It's about the music.
Right.
It's like when you started out, you were listening to stuff exclusively that had harmonica.
Right. I was like that too. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And then you started meeting guys like the late great Richard Innes, a blues drummer that was into acoustic country blues.
Right.
So then
very rare.
Right. So
very
then
rare.
and I've turned into more of this kind of guy that I just I love the music. It's the sound, it's the atmosphere, it's the voice.
It's not just harmonica.
It's the phrasing of a song, it's the timing, it really is. I didn't even really, the technicality is nothing I don't even pursue anymore, to tell you the truth.
Right.
I mean, I practice, I certainly practice, but.
So how long have you been doing this one man band thing?
Well, since the
pandemic?
Since the pandemic, I mean, I hadn't been public about it, but I was sick. I had a bout with cancer that knocked me out it was the longest I ever went without playing harmonica.
Wow.
Was when I was recovering after surgery.
How long was that?
I'll bet you I went a half a year.
Wow.
Maybe not quite, without ever picking up a harmonica.
Right.
And seeing and I didn't even know if I was going to be able to.
That's scary stuff.
Yeah, I was just kind of thinking, am I going to be able to do that again?
I had Bell's palsy, and I thought that was curtains for me at one point. I did a whole tour with it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That was one of the potential side effects.
Bell's palsy?
No, was possible paralysis on the side of my face.
Paralysis. Yeah, wow.
But I ended up with not being able to raise my arm all the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's all.
Well, I'm glad you're all right, RJ.
Me too.
Yeah. So I'd like to hear you do a number, man, with the rack. I want to hear you do this because I really like what you're doing with this, and it's something I've been trying to do, but I really like the way you got the finger picking thing down, which is really nice.
Finger picking? I have no idea what I'm doing. rowboat 9 days. I'm a steady rolling man. Woo, I'm a rowboat night and day. One thing to tell me, baby, keep me rolling this way. Guitar solo.
Bravo.
Don't make me nervous. Whoa. I'm a steady rolling man. Roll from sun to sun. Steady rolling man. Woo, roll from sun to sun. One thing to tell me, baby, how you want your rolling done.
All right, RJ.
Woo.
Yeah, I love that, man. And-
Making me nervous, Mark.
No, I really like the way you're able to keep the you're keeping the bass string going while you kind of playing some lead in there, which man I cannot do to save my life.
Ah,
Yeah.
well, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't think it's right. I don't know.
No, I'm just saying you're thumping the bass and playing some lead. So yeah.
Okay.
Well, anyway, it's been a pleasure to have you, buddy. Yeah.
Thank you. I got a
Fellow
lot of
road
bad
dog.
notes there. But,
Fellow road dog, RJ Mischo.
well,
Thank
you're
you
the
again,
road dog.
man.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah,
So,
look up, what's your website? rjmischo.com?
RJ
RJ Blues.
RJBlues.com.
rjblues.com.
I got like a cheap registration routine, so I think you have to like put the whole www dot. You might even have to put the www dot.
Yeah.
If you just put rjblues.com in there, I think it doesn't automatically appear.
Well, one thing I want to say about you, man, is you've always had a great vibe with the audience.
Oh,
People
man.
genuinely like you when you hit the stage, and that's a really rare thing in this business. You know, people that can just get on stage and kind of make friends with the audience right out the gate. And you've always had that. You and a few other people I know have really had that. You, believe it or not, I mean, you know, you, Tommy Castro, Aki, I think Aki Kumar, I think you guys all have that great ability to kind of connect with the audience right from the start.
Thank you.
And that's a great thing to have in this business.
Well, we're all in it together. All the people are in the band as well.
Yeah.
But you nailed it last night on that. I love that. You did that Baby Boy Warren song.
Oh,
He does
yeah,
a Baby
yeah,
Boy
yeah.
Warren song. Nobody does Baby Boy.
No,
Warren song.
nobody does Baby Boy.
Yeah, you
You're
really
right.
Extended that.
I
great
met
song.
somebody that actually worked with him.
Okay.
Yeah, back in they were blown away that I knew who he was. Somebody in Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Who played with Baby Boy Warren?
They played with him, yeah.
Was he prolific in the late 40s?
He was around in the
50s?
50s, but I want to say he lived into the 1970s.
Okay.
Because they were talking about how they worked with him around, you know, the late 60s, early 70s. They were working with him.
I thought you were going to do Somebody Must Have Good because my baby got nervous. I just
Oh yeah, that's a great one too, man.
Thank you, Mark.